I've got to tell you, I really enjoyed your character in this movie because there are parts where you feel bad for you, and then you're on your side, and then you want to just help you, and then you're kind of gunning for you. There's a lot of dimensions to your character. How do you get prepped for that?
Well, I think when you have a good script, there's not a lot of prep that you need to do. There's a structure there. The thing about the character and this character in the movie is that he's really, you follow him through the narrative. You know, he is the narrative, and so as a result, you can kind of dance on that narrative a little bit, play against it, play towards it, play on it, play with the audience, you know, a little bit in a different way. You know, and that was my goal, was to create all these tiny sort of question marks all over him, and at the same time, he's the one asking all the questions. So I created his backstory that I just, and I also wanted to feel how much he was hiding, because I think the amount that he hides as a character and as a person allows him to understand what other people are hiding and why they're hiding it. And it's the classic story of, you know, the one who's been through it is the one who, you know, is, you know, gonna be empathetic.
It's a pretty physical role for you. How do you get prepared for that end of it? Because you've got to dig into that character, their mentality, then you got to get into the physicality of it. What was it like on set for you?
I would actually say he wasn't a very physical character in that it's a much more of a psychological journey for him. I mean, I think he's somebody who really, I don't think you never see his home. You know, I don't think he has any outlets, really, even physical outlets. I think his outlet is his job. I could imagine him sleeping in his car. In fact, we were going to shoot a scene where he was sleeping in his car. We didn't have the time to shoot it. So physically, I think it was about being uncomfortable in his body in a lot of ways. And he, at the same time, always ready kind of for a very intense interaction. Always prepared for what's around the corner being something that is unknown. And I think that becomes psychologically very draining.
You're here for 2 movies. I was talking to Denis. You got to work with him also for Enemy. Very completely different movies. What's it like working with him?
Well, I mean, if it's any testament to the fact we made 2 movies in a row together, it's wonderful. I mean, we have an incredible relationship. He's a wonderful, wonderful man and an incredible artist, and he pushes me, and I hopefully push him, and I love him, and he pisses me off too, and
That's a good
he
thing.
could say the same thing. I find that the best creative collaborations I've had in my work, I feel that way about those people. I love them and hate them at the same time, and they me, and I think that that's real, and we have that. And he also he allows for risk, and he allows and gives me my space to make choices that he might not, and he doesn't always use, but he never holds me back. I never feel that way. He's incredibly understanding of the choices that actors make, and we are a strange bunch, particularly this bunch. I mean, what an incredible group of people to be working together with. But
can I ask you this? Terrence said, just on set,
What
he
did Terrence
says
say?
you are the goofiest. Like when it comes to pranks and stuff, you're kind of the most random, and you do the funniest things on set. Is that true?
Yeah. I am just, you know, I believe in knowing your character, but I believe in knowing and being your character so much that you can kind of get out pretty quick too. If you know it well enough, there's a big side of me that feels like humor is a way into a lot of different worlds, and strangeness is too, and I'm hopefully have both of those things.
Yeah, absolutely. You were phenomenal. I can tell you, sitting there, and I mean this in the best possible way, it is emotionally draining. And to play your role, how do you get into that character?
You know, well, obviously as a parent, that takes you 60, 70% of the way there. I'm a very different person, I think, from Keller. He's one of those people who doesn't trust anyone. He's prepared for anything. He's going to have the job protecting his family. No one else is going to do it for him. His basement is filled with enough goods and supplies to last like a year living down there. I'm not that kind of person, but the truth be told, none of us really know how we would react until you're in it.
Because you've got a son and a daughter.
I do.
The same.
I certainly keep a closer eye on them. than
I was
used
going to
to.
ask you that.
Yeah, for
After
sure.
this movie, does it change the way you...
It changed a lot for me, actually. It changed the way I view my job as protecting them. And actually, weirdly, I don't want to get into too much, but as we're making the film, I had a situation with Stalker 2 that came out that all happened at once. So I was kind of, all of that stuff was happening at once. But even down to the research I did on sleep deprivation, which is probably one of the key factors and things that is in the movie. And it turns out you do need 8 hours sleep. I read every medical journal. I used to think that was a bit of a luxury, but it's not.
Have
There
you been
go.
doing the 8 now?
I'm trying, and I do feel a lot better, it's true.
Really?
I used to think 7 and 6 is fine.
Yeah.
I never got 8.
No.
Every medical journal says it's a massive difference to your life.
And the omega-3s, have you been doing that? The
I
omega?
always do omega-3s.
The fish oils?
Yes,
Okay,
see?
I'm
Look.
on board. I'm trying that too.
Good.
I'm trying to not get the
This is
wrinkles
not
here.
in the movie, by the way.
No.
There is no reference to omega-3s.
None. I follow you on Twitter, and you posted something really weird. You've got a bit of a doppelganger in butter form.
Right? It
was
made
that?
me laugh so much. First of all, I did a small role in a movie called Butter. And when I got the script, I was like, oh, this is such a funny idea. I had no idea that this was real.
Yeah.
You got to understand, from Australia, the idea that people carve butter is a really strange thing. So I lost about 3 hours of my life looking on the internet about butter carving championships and how the correct temperature is 42 degrees, not 41 degrees to carve butter.
Gotta be right.
Right, how the greatest thing I own is that butter carving knife that my grandfather passed down to me. So when I saw this thing of Wolverine in butter, I was like, I've just got to share that with the world. Now,
Sold.
you know you made it when.
And I gotta, you're gonna be honored in Zurich.
Yes, yeah.
What is that like for your career to be put on that pedestal?
I'll be perfectly honest with you. Pretty much everything after about 15 years ago has been a surprise to me. You know, I came out as an actor, and you just think, I really hope I can pay the rent, and I don't have to call my dad and ask for a little bit of help. And so I've had unbelievable opportunities, and you know, I feel like I'm just beginning. So I hope this is not any kind of sign that I'm on my way down.
No, no.
But I'm very grateful to Zurich and for that award, and I'm really looking forward to going there to the
Good.
film festival there.
I must say right away from the start that I love when people say to me that they were on the edge of their seat, because as a director, I can still relate to the dramatic aspect of the film, but I know every single frame, so I'm not afraid anymore.
Yeah.
I know the story so much, so it's always a big pleasure when I hear that. But the thing is the script was fantastic. I didn't have to, about the thriller elements, about the tension, about the rhythm, the script was just perfect. So it means it was by far the best script I ever read in my life. And so it was about tension and suspense that I just followed the blueprint, you know. It's more, my job was more to dig into the characters, to explore the characters, to go inside their vulnerability, and their humanity, to dig into them. So that was my job.
That's it, because they're so multidimensional, these characters. You
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
You feel you're on one side, then you're on another side, and you're trying to relate to them, and the moral boundaries just being so blurred. You know, taking all of that and putting it in, 2.5 hours is difficult.
The thing is that I think is the beauty. That was why I was so attracted by the screenplay. It's because it's not black and white. It's not. It's about those blur zones, those gray zones that are closer to the reality and humanity. I mean, we are not. There's no good and evil. It's much more complicated than that. And it's like there's no bad guys and good guys in my mind. It's like things are, as you said, very blur and very complicated and very complex. And that's why I love the screenplay so much.
You had an absolutely fabulous ensemble cast here. I don't think you could have grouped together a more perfect cast here. What was it like to work with everybody?
Very often I was going back on my monitor or behind the camera, and I was like, what? It's like I couldn't believe. Very often I had to pinch myself, and when I was alone, thinking that I was putting Jake Gyllenhaal and Hugh Jackman in the same frame, working with them. But again, for a director, it was just a massive privilege to work with so great actors. Because before stars, they are just fantastic artists.
That's it.
I mean, they are strong, and they have a lot of depth, and it's just a privilege to work with those guys.